So last year, myself and this very good-looking rooster, Tyrone, sat in this exact same spot, and we did our 2024 AFL ladder prediction, and I think both of us were pretty wrong, like nearly everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just about. Yep.
Safe to say, and you know what? We had the crazy idea to run it back and do it again, because we are both lonely and have no girlfriends and nothing else to do in our life but make YouTube videos.
Speak for yourself.
But anyway, we've got a ladder prediction to do. I haven't seen his. He reckons his is less controversial. I have to say, I think I've got a pretty controversial ladder prediction going on here.
I have a few controversial takes for sure, but
That's good, because I haven't heard his. So you guys are going to get my actual reaction to him probably having St Kilda winning the flag and all of the above. So I'll start off with my last, and you can give me your last.
all right,
and,
if this isn't the same,
Yeah.
I think there's an issue. But
all right, we'll say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1, Richmond.
that's good.
Yeah, I think there's not much to talk about with the Tigers, is there? They have an insane young list.
They've won 3 flags in 4 years, so I think it's about time.
And about everyone and their dad just left. So, as a massive Richmond fan,
That's true.
I got to have them last. I don't think there'll be much improvement. They got to go backwards to go forward because they're, so young. They're literally the Michael Jackson age demographic at the moment. Maybe a little bit too old, actually. But they're there. Again, 17th. I don't know who you've got at 17th, but
I think
I've got...
it's the same.
All right. We'll do it again. If we're so confident. 3, 2, 1, West Coast. Yeah, I mean, West Coast are in a similar boat to Richmond. They're rebuilding. They're getting all young kids in. Hopefully Harley Reid doesn't want to go to Bendigo next year.
Yeah.
Wherever he's from. But yeah, West Coast. I think West Coast still need another year or two to develop, in my opinion.
Do you know the biggest mistake?
What's the biggest mistake?
Delisting Jai Cully.
Yeah, that was a generational L by the Eagles right there. All right, I think this is where we're going to be a bit different. And at 16th position, I've actually got a team who I had finishing in the 8 in my prediction last year. I had them finishing 7th, and I said if they don't make the 8 this year, I don't know if they're ever going to make the 8 again. But at 16th position, I have the Essendon Football Club.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Yeah.
Why? What's the reason behind that?
So I just feel like in every year in the AFL, a team drops to the bottom 4. And I think Essendon, I think they've kind of realised they're not going anywhere. They're stuck in a rut. I think they're going to give Brad Scott more security in his job to play a lot more of the younger kids. I think next year you're going to start to see Ben Hobbs, Elijah Sardis, players like that way more. Zach Reid. Is that his name? The dude who went pick 10 a couple of years ago. He should hopefully play a little bit more footy next year. I think they're just going to go overall younger. They've got 4 picks in next year's draft that are pretty good. Or this year's draft, sorry. So I think that will be the team that drops off. And I don't think that will be out of not being designed. I actually think there's some at Essendon who probably realise they need to, go to the bottom and tank for Zion for a little bit.
Yeah, right.
All right, 16th, Tyrone, hit me.
I think it's pretty boring, but going with North Melbourne.
Really?
Yeah.
No
North
jump
Melbourne.
for the Kangas.
No,
Tell me.
I mean, you look at every other team, and I still have them above North Melbourne. I think they haven't shown enough, I think. They're still a young team.
Yeah.
I think in a couple of years' time, maybe they'll be all right, but...
Their backline is still pretty...
Backline is still non-existent.
Like frickin' Frankston Bombers reserves kind of backline right there.
Not even. More like Kringle.
Oh!
Actually, Kringle have Frank.
Kringle, yeah. Kringle got some good backmen.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
All right, you go off with 15th. Hit me.
All right, I think this might be a bit of a controversial one. I hope not, but going with Melbourne.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense. You can.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know. They weren't great last year. I know they didn't have Clayton Oliver for a lot of it, but no Petrarca as well last year. But
Yeah.
I think
They're also going a lot younger now.
Yeah, they just don't have what it takes. I don't reckon.
Yeah, and after some of the off-season stories we've personally heard about the Melbourne Football Club, I'm sure they will come out. Because, apparently rumours have had it. We won't go too much into it, but just from people we know who know certain Melbourne players, it's not looking that good. we'll say to
Just leave it at that.
yeah. 15th. Again, I'm going more on the controversial route here. I do have St Kilda. Yeah, I know. Out of semi-design though, I think they're it won't be anything to do with Ross Lyon. It won't be his fault. I just think St Kilda might take another backward step to go
That's wild.
forward, which is crazy. But also, I think that St Kilda, out of any of the teams that I think are bad, have an insane amount of building pieces. I just don't think that Jack McRae, who I've never thought is that good of a footballer, the backwards hand pass kind of man, I don't think he is enough to help that midfield. I also think Travali and Taru are guns, but you got to give them some time. Losing Battle sucked. And yeah, I just think it might be a year to just remain down there for a little bit. And
That's fair. I understand it, but
yeah,
I don't like it.
14th now I have North Melbourne. I think North Melbourne make the jump
Wow.
to 14th.
Above Saints.
Above the St Kilda Football Club.
No.
Which is
that's
controversial, but also I've got to be controversial here, or then it's a boring video and you guys are going to click off and go watching a Ballad Angel video or something. So we got
wrong.
to
Do it anyway. Wouldn't blame them either. All right.
we got to keep it somewhat entertaining here. But yeah, I've gone with North Melbourne there, which sucks for Richmond. But I
Yeah.
don't think that pick is going to be as good of a pick as what they are dreaming it to be.
No, that's fair enough. All right, 14. Oh, I'm going to get so much hate for this one. I've gone Collingwood.
Whoa!
Collingwood. I think, oh, man. They're getting older. They weren't good last year. They won't be good this year. Yeah, I don't know. They have no forward line. Back line is a bit iffy without Murphy.
That's true,
Dustin
that's true.
Moore wasn't the same.
The back line's the thing that scares me, but not enough to put them in 14th, I'll tell you that.
Look, I think it's like part of it just comes down to hoping they do finish 14th. But yeah, I think I have them finishing 14th.
Yeah.
So
13th, I have the Melbourne Demons. I'm a little bit more higher on them than you.
look, that sounds a bit better than 16 or 15.
Yeah,
Sure.
even after the off-season stories I've personally heard and all the off-field drama with Clayton Oliver and, you know, a couple of their other players. Who is trying to Snapchat my phone? They are cock-blocking this video right
no,
now.
it's not a girl, is it?
It actually was a girl.
That is
But
a guy.
it's me asking
guy.
about another girl who I think's hot that I've got no absolute hope with. So she's probably just said piss off and now blocked me. But yeah, the Melbourne Football Club, I do think they are going to go a little bit younger by design. But I do think that Christian Petrarca is not going to have a bad year by any means because he's going to want to improve his trade value if he does still want out. Again, I think it will be the same story. Clayton Oliver will want out, which is really funny because I don't know how Clayton Oliver going to a different team is going to fix all the stories that we have personally heard because I think you can still do the same stuff that he does in Geelong or even Adelaide. Actually, the Adelaide is the city of churches, so maybe. But, you know, I do think Melbourne won't drop off that much. Maxi Gorn's injury does not help, but, yeah, they're not going to be I don't think they'll be that bad, but they could. They could be a bottom 4 team. It could just completely crash out. I think at least 1 or 2 teams will drop down like pretty heavily. I just think Essendon's one of them.
They do have Tom Campbell now.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. So
Yeah.
they could finish top 8, but
Fair enough.
it just depends how many games he gets. All right. 13? I have Bombers. The Essendon Bombers. So I think there is. I know what you're saying with like they'll go younger this year and stuff.
Yeah.
I still think they're a good side though. They that midfield is very strong. I think it's one of the best midfields in the comp. Yeah.
Whoa!
I said it.
Whoa! That is a call. That is a big call.
No, not really. If you think about it, like
right.
Zach Merritt, Zach Merritt, and Zach Merritt.
Zach Merritt's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit of optimism as well. I just don't. They can't finish that low again, but So, yeah, I think they have to finish that mid-range kind of shit area for the draft pick. But
Yeah, that's fair. Who do you have at 12th?
Bro, what about your 13?
Didn't I not just say my 13?
No, you said 14. Oh,
No,
my
13
bad.
I've got Melbourne, you Wombats. Well, I'll go with 12 then. I've got Adelaide, who I think will have a little bit of a jump. They'll go from, 15th to 12th. I actually really liked a lot of their players they did bring in. I think Neil Bullen is one of the league's most underrated players. He's a really good two-way player to start off with. Great small forward, but when he goes into midfield, he's underrated. Has really good disposal use. The two guys they got from GWS are both really good. And who was the fourth guy they got in? They brought in another guy, didn't they? Or was it just the draft picks? They got Draper, and Draper's a gun as well.
Draper is a gun.
So I do think Adelaide will have a little bit of a jump. You can't bring in 4 quality players and not at least do something when you don't really lose anyone. But yeah, that midfield is still a worry. It's a massive worry. Their forward line has drastically improved and their back line has kind of improved as well. But their midfield, it does need work. And I expect players like Neil Bullen and even Rankin, the forwards, to be playing a lot more time in there just out of need and necessity. Yeah.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I don't mind it. All right, 12. I have the Bulldogs. I'm honestly surprised you haven't called them out yet.
Yeah.
I think without Bailey Smith, I know they didn't have him last year, but no Bailey Smith,
The Sniff Master, mate.
no Jack McRae, 'cause he's a gun. Maybe the best midfielder in the competition.
That's crazy.
But yeah, they won't be the same this year. They won't be that good. They won't. I don't think they really compete for the 8. I think they'll be around there, but I don't think they'll be like a threat for the 8.
Well, I'll segue into that because I have them 11th.
Okay.
So I've got them one spot in front of you.
That's not too bad.
I mean, I'll start off by saying that the Bulldogs' game plan is not made for finals. We saw it absolutely crash down against Hawthorn. Their coach, for starters, is one of the worst coaches in the game. Jamara's improvement has not been enough. Their midfield continues to be strong, but the only reason, number 4, the only reason they made it far last year was because the backline, their biggest weakness, was retooled enough to where it could work. But Rory Lobb, even though he looked really good down back, let's see how he goes a whole year down there. Alex Keith definitely dropped off towards the end of the year. I think he got dropped a couple times. Caleb Daniel, when he came back in, whether you like him as a defender or not, when he came back in, they started playing better footy. He's now no longer there. I just think their backline is not good. Their game plan is really not that great, and it's not made for finals. And you've got guys like Jordan Croft, literally so close to my name, other than him copying my name, is just chilling in the reserves with the other bloke they drafted, Riley Sanders, chilling in the reserves, clearly AFL level players. They're chilling there most of the time with players like James Harms because they're just so overcrowded in key forward and midfield positions. It's crazy. They really just need so much more down back. Their interchange can sometimes be really crappy with just no flexibility, just based off the fact that when they do have an interchange, it's usually typically the same players, and it might be like that next year when you're going to have like Harms, Sanders, and Kennedy potentially all coming off that bench, and then it's like, holy crap, you've got a lot of the same inside midfielders just coming off the bench. There's not much flexibility. Again, the game plan's no good. I will say though, out of all the negatives I've just mentioned, the reason why I still think they're going to finish high-ish, like in that middle tier, you've got way too many good players. Bont is too good. Norton is still a gun, etc., etc. There are some good players there that are just not going to let the team sink. They're not going to let the team down. And when you think about it, their structure is still pretty good. It's just the game plan.
Yeah.
So that's why I got the Bulldogs in 11th.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
All right. My 11. St Kilda. My Saints.
Over the Dogs.
Over the Dogs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We could, the way I see it with Saints, we could and maybe should finish in the 8. But at the same time, we're a young side. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put it out there. Maybe one of the best young lists in the comp.
That's true. They got a good young list.
So I wouldn't be too mad if we finish around there and just kind of build up to it in the next few years. But I do still think that we finish above Dogs, finish above Collingwood, Melbourne, those type of teams that are on a decline, I guess. But I think we don't quite crack into the top 8 this year.
Yeah. Decent call. I don't mind that.
I think our midfield's still lacking, so that will let us down. But
who do you have at 10th?
10th, I have Adelaide. So
really?
You
got a bit higher than me.
Higher than you. So their inclusions this year are really good. Forward line, like you said, is only getting stronger. Riley Tilthorpe, he'll have a good year this year, I reckon. And then I just see like a Rankin in the midfield. He'll dominate this year, I reckon, if he stays fit. Rochelle, a bit more midfield time. Sid Draper. And then, it's just a good young team that's kind of climbing up the ladder, I think, and should be close to the top 8 this year.
Funny you have Adelaide at your 10th position, because I have gone personally with Port Adelaide. I think Port Adelaide will slide a little bit. I say they'll slide because I am D1 Jack Lukosius hater. I think Jack Lukosius is not a good footballer at all. Berry is a gun from the draft. I forgot his name, but the guy they brought in from Collingwood.
Joe Richards,
he's a good player. But Lukosius isn't. There's a reason Gold Coast did not play Rory Atkins, because he's not a good player. And you just lost Dan Houston, arguably the best player on the Port Adelaide team, the guy who made back-to-back All-Australians, and you lose him for Atkins.
Can I just put a disclaimer out there? I've put Collingwood 14th, completely forgetting they have Dan Houston on the side. So
who the hell is this guy? Where did I find this guy?
So,
Anyway, Dan Houston going from Port Adelaide has put them in a bit of strife, I think. I think their midfield is so strong. Their forward line, though, next season, it's going to look like it's got good depth, but there's no top-end talent in that forward line other than when Horne-Francis goes down there to really carry you across the line. And their back line already looked like it had problems last season. I think there's going to be continuous holes now. Burgoyne, if Burgoyne plays off the half-back and maybe Dan Houston replace him, that's good because Burgoyne's a jet. But you've also got to realise that Burgoyne is also an elite wingman and might play a fair bit of footy there.
So I see Burgoyne the same as Nazaya, Wangan and Miller. He'll be that gun half-back that can play wing or kind of go through the midfield, but I think he'll be so dominant at half-back that he can nearly he'll just fill in that Dan Houston spot, I reckon. So.
Port Adelaide at 10th is not that bad.
Oh, I think that's pretty bad. But
I'll be that guy to say. It's not that bad. They've still got good things going on there. 9th, I have GWS.
Oh, no.
I think GWS, they lost about 5 players, and their response to losing 5 players was to bring in Jake Stringer. So
they still have such a good side. They have the Coleman medalist and Aaron Cadman. That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, Jesse Hogan and Cadman. But you can't lose that much depth and not have a little hit.
But the midfield's still stacked.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. All they lose really is coming off half-back. But you'll have replacements.
Peatling was a good player for them.
But
he played a fair bit of footy.
He didn't have a massive role in the side anyway.
He started to have a massive role.
He was a fringe player nearly.
Until the end.
Yeah, I know, but
he had a really good final series.
I think it doesn't justify them dropping down 6 spots.
Well, I have them dropping down 6 spots.
Damn.
Who do you have in 9th?
9th, I have Geelong.
What the hell?
I know. I just hate them. I don't want them to finish in the 8th.
That doesn't sound like a reason to put them in 9th because you hate the club for whacking your team in multiple finals.
No, we beat them last year anyway. So, no. I say this every year and they still somehow find a way, but they're getting older. They're just an old team, but they.
Can I tell you right now?
Oh, yeah.
There is no way in hell Geelong finish ninth.
I know.
That's my first bad call.
Hold on.
I might have to smack him up off camera.
Yeah, look, I could have maybe slid into the 8, but no, they just. I don't know. I reckon if there is a team to slide out of the 8, that's kind of like, higher up there. It's Geelong.
I have a team sliding here at 8th. Just out of, I feel like, tradition, really, and that is the Sydney Swans. The reason I have the Sydney Swans going to 8th is because historically, a lot of teams who play in grand finals and lose as of late have missed the 8 the next year for some apparent reason. Geelong in 2022 missed the 8 the following year. Collingwood in 2023. So these are winners, by the way, too. Missed the 8 the next year. Richmond won the flag in 20 and missed the 8 the next year. Historically, a grand final team will, for some reason, drop out. And with Sydney being absolutely destroyed now in 2 grand finals, their coach suddenly leaving, Dean Cox coming in, Chad Warner, again, playing golf with West Coast people, it's not a good look. And also, I just feel like, with all of that taken into account, I don't think they're going to miss the 8, but I don't think they're going to be the powerhouse that they were this year. But I could be very wrong on that. I just think they're going to finish 8th. I don't mind
it. I just think Cox is still a good coach.
Yeah.
And they still have the same team pretty much, so
yes,
I don't see him dropping too much. But anyway.
Who do you have at 8th?
8, I have Gold Coast. I think this is a year they slide in.
Yeah.
I guess you could have Geelong replacing them, but I think it's just a year of Gold Coast. They showed very good signs last year.
Real.
Another year under Dimmer can never hurt.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to segue into that, but it turns out I'm not, because I don't have them at 7th. I have Collingwood at 7th. I think, so Collingwood's season could go either two ways. It could be very good, everyone stays healthy, the old players still work their asses off and still play well, which I don't think will happen. I don't think the old players will do that good, but they still have a lot of good depth. I disagree with you on their forward line that you said earlier, because I think them having Dan McStay in the team completely changes it, because you have a crash-the-pack guy who brings the ball down to the forwards. I also think Dan Houston and Perryman will be 2 massive adds. Did you miss Perryman as well earlier on another guy Giants lost? Very solid player that the Giants lost there. Those 2 players will come in and help them out, I think, a fair bit. I think they'll get back to the 8, but I think this is their last year to do anything at all, because I think their depth is going to take a massive hit when all the players retire, and even the young players who haven't worked out are probably going to get delisted. So there's going to be a complete reshuffle of their list.
I'm definitely backing Collingwood to drop off soon.
Yeah,
maybe
sooner
it's not
than
this,
later.
Maybe it's not this year with the inclusions that I didn't think about, but I think their young talent isn't really that good.
Oh, it's by far the worst probably in the game.
All the Collingwood supporters will be like, oh, Nick Dacos, Josh Dacos, woohoo.
Yeah, it's not enough. You need a team.
2 players, come on.
You need a team.
So, yeah, and they just have a very old side.
Yeah.
I believe it's the oldest side last year.
I think it's nearly one of the oldest sides to ever. Isn't the average age nearly 27 or something? Like 26.
I don't know.
26.6 or something.
It's pretty old.
And by the end of the year, it will be one of the oldest lists I think we've seen.
Yeah. All right. My number 7 is Hawthorn. Hawthorn. I was gonna drop him out of the 8, and then I thought about the inclusions. Josh Battle, Tom Barrass. I think those are the 2.
Drop him out the 8.
Yeah, only because they're a very young side, and I think they just exceeded expectations last year.
Yeah.
And kind of finished a bit too high, if that makes sense.
Interesting.
But I think with those 2 inclusions, you can't really drop. So it just kind of frees up Sicily if they want to put him forward as well. While still having 2 absolute gun defenders down back. So I think, they'll still be very good next year.
Well, at my 6, I have the Gold Coast Suns. I think not only is this the year, but I think their list is fantastic. I mean, if Rioli can stay healthy, I think Noble is actually a very, very underrated inclusion. You bring in both of those guys to come in off that half-back line. Leo Lombard looks like a jet. In most drafts, he probably would have been top 5, so he'll play. He'll probably start off the bench. But they've got something really good going on. I do think they need to maybe work on their small forwards a little bit. Maybe the wings, but in saying that, their midfield is so stacked now. I've said this previously, but I think one of my friends was talking about this. Noah Anderson, slight smoky for the Brownlow this year. He had a very underrated season last year, and I think he could come in and average nearly 27 a game this year. A goal every second game. And if the Suns are good, that looks good on a resume. That will get votes. And you got Real in that midfield. Their forward line's stacked. Their back line is stacked.
I think it might be a bit harsh to say, but I think it falls on Anderson. I reckon if he has a big year, Gold Coast will have a big year.
I don't even know if that's just him though. I think
I know, because they still have Real.
It falls on a lot of players to this is the first time ever that Gold Coast you can be like, it's not one or two players' job for them to be good.
I just think he's like the centerpiece of that midfield now, which...
Well, back in the day, it used to be like, Ablett's got to play a good game here. When Ablett was gone, you're like, Lynch has to kick 5, May has to, concede under 1 goal, and Prestry has to have like 30.
And then Took Miller has to have like...
Well, that was the other one when they all went, and now it's like... Well, no, they've got stacked midfielders everywhere.
They have Real, Anderson,
They have
Miller.
Goal kickers everywhere. Yeah, the Gold Coast Suns are stacked to the brim. They got to make the 8 here. 5th, I have. Wait, did you go over number 6?
No,
you go to number 6.
6, I've Port Adelaide. So
okay, so still making the 8.
A team you have dropping out, but I think nothing really changes with Port. I don't think. No. Oh yeah, they lose down Houston, but they gain Lukosius, Richards, Joe Berry. I don't know. I think they're just that.
Don't forget Rory Atkins, mate.
And I mean, I didn't forget about him. Just he's not worth mentioning, to be honest. I just think they're still a good side. Like they aren't too dissimilar from last year, minus Dan Houston. But I think Burgoyne can replace him, play a good enough role on half back, and then just that midfield, the Butters, Rosie, Norman Francis is just insane.
Still star-studded.
I think it's the best midfield in the comp, and I don't think with that midfield you can drop outside the 8. So,
good call. I don't mind it. 5th, I have Fremantle. I think they were pretty stiff last year not to make the 8. Their back line still scares me a little bit because of the injuries down there. You need Pearce to really stay healthy, which I don't know if that's possible. But, I mean, I was looking at a stat the other day, and it was quite insane. Do you know, I think it was the first half of the year, Shea Bolton was ranked as the 10th best player in the AFL when he was actually trying. And then in 2022, the year he made All-Australian, he was ranked like the whole year like 7th best player. Right? Can you believe that Fremantle, with a midfield that's already stacked, but keep in mind, that Shea Bolton last year, as the 10th ranked player, would have had so much attention to him. Can you believe the Fremantle midfield that has Sarong and Brayshaw
and Hayden Young,
3 of the best midfielders in the game, are now going to have Shea Bolton rotating in there and playing 50% in there with no tag? No one is going to put any attention on Shea Bolton.
I honestly think his most damaging position next year will be when he plays forward.
Up forward. And that's 100%. Even crazy to think that he could be a midfielder that goes down forward and kicks a couple goals a game. I think All-Australian season incoming for him, All-Australian season incoming for Sarong, probably Young. Young is getting better and better. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think their midfield's probably the best in the game now, if you're including Shea Bolton, because those numbers do not lie. They are stacked in the midfield. Their forward line is really good too. They've got players everywhere down there. Yeah, the back line just needs to stay healthy, and it needs to do their thing because you know, defenders win flags. Isn't that what they say? Defenders get the chicks, they win the flags. You got to have a good back line. Like that, yeah. You got to have a good back line. Yeah. So I've got them in 5th.
I don't mind it. At 5, I have Brisbane. Well, I reckon that's.
Let him cook. Let him
I
cook.
reckon that's so good. Like that's that. I'll put money on that to be accurate at the end of the year. I just think no Joe Danaher hurts them so much. They don't have anyone to really feel
Trash the pack.
like Eric Hipwood and Logan Morris.
Eric Hipwood's pretty trash.
Come on. So
If Eric Hipwood can get a game in the league, I could get a game in the league.
that's it. So I think they drop a bit. They still have the best midfield. I know Port did, but I think Brisbane do.
Oh, yeah.
I think Brisbane have the best midfield in the comp, especially with Levi Ashcroft coming in. And they still have a decent back line, so they can't really drop that much.
Yeah.
But I think
I don't know how you've got him in fifth.
I just think no Joe Danaher hurts him a lot. He carried their forward line last year.
Yeah.
Now it falls on Logan Morris, I reckon, because Eric Hipwood sucks.
Yeah.
So if Hipwood doesn't have a 50-goal season and Charlie Cameron doesn't have a 40-goal season, then
They're in a bit of
I
strife.
think they're shot. So yeah.
At fourth, I've got Hawthorn. I think you had them a little bit low. I think they only get better, and I didn't even think about Sicily probably playing forward next year.
Yeah.
You forget as well that Mitch Lewis is supposed to be coming back next year. A healthy Mitch Lewis completely changes their team. That's a dude who will crash a pack and bring the ball down to the ground for all their small forwards to work with. They get Barras and Battle down back, Sicily up forward. Yeah, they're stacked.
Yeah, it's pretty stacked when you think about it.
Yeah, so I don't have any negatives to say about Hawthorn. I just think they'll finish fourth.
All right, let's not talk too highly of Hawthorn because we don't like the fans. At 4, I have Giants. So I know you have him a bit lower, but I think who did they lose? They lost Cumming. They lost
Peatling,
Peatling
they lost Perryman.
and Perryman.
Those are the three off the top of our heads.
Yeah,
They
I
lost
mean-
more than that, though. They lost like another guy or two.
But they still have an elite back line in Sam Taylor, Connor Iden, all these guys. They still have an elite midfield, Tom Green, Josh Kelly, Cornelio. Who am I missing? Missing other players.
Hold
but-
on, though. So you're saying they've got elite spots everywhere, which is true. What happens if even any injuries happen?
Well, they still have like
Who
youngsters
comes
coming
in?
through. I don't really
No
know.
one
I don't know
comes
them
in.
this too well.
And no
but-
one comes in.
No, they'll be sweet.
Hannaford will probably play pretty early on, one of their top
Hannaford,
picks.
yeah.
I think they took Hannaford, or was that Sydney? One of the Sydney teams took Hannaford. I'm pretty sure it was them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Irrelevant, really.
Who do you have at third?
I have Carlton at 3.
Yeah, same.
Oh, really? There we go.
Finally, we match up.
Yeah, I think they're in for a big year this year. If
Yeah.
they don't, then
Then
I think it's a bit worrying.
It's
But
time to put the red flag in.
yeah, I think
Or the white flag.
once again, elite forward line with Curnow and Mackay. Although they don't have any small forwards,
They don't.
which is a bit of an issue.
But they did redevelop that midfield where it was a super one-dimensional midfield, and they got rid of Kennedy. They're bringing back in Chera next year, who's probably their best ball user, and they're bringing in Jagger Smith. So the whole midfield gets completely changed.
I think Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, Chera,
Yeah.
and Jagger Smith is pretty
Insane.
elite.
Backline still holds up as well.
Still got Wiedering, like the Marchbanks of the world and whatnot, which,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they'll be a very good side this year. Obviously, I think everyone's expecting them
Yeah.
to be a good side this year.
So our second and first are going to be dramatically different.
Yeah.
Who do you have at second?
I like this pick. I have Freo finishing
Yeah,
second.
that's great.
I think they will be the major breakouts this year. I think, like you said, if the back line holds up, then they'll be laughing pretty much.
If it doesn't hold up, they're in some strife though.
Yeah, I think they'll be one of those sides that's kind of like easily top 4, but might not be a flag contender, if that makes sense. I think just give them a few years and they'll be fighting for the flag, but they'll definitely assert themselves in the competition this year.
Well, I have Geelong at second. Geelong is they're a stacked team with young talent. They ended up being the second best team of last year. They lost to Brisbane by that much. They lost to Brisbane by that much, and they would have gone on to pump Sydney in the grand final. They were that close to winning another flag because Sydney, you can just lock that away. Sydney were never going to beat anyone that day, apparently. They were that close off beating Brisbane. And you don't have them
No, I just...
you don't have them in the 8.
I have them 9th.
Oh my god, that's crazy. And they got better. They brought in Bailey Smith.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's coming off an ACL.
They got
Like, he
rid of
hasn't played in
Tom
2 years.
Hawkins, who was an old guy crowding that forward line. I forgot the other guy's name they brought in, who was a lot better.
Shannon Neal.
Shannon Neal. They bit the bullet and moved on Hawkins, played him in the VFL towards the end of the year, and their list got even better by doing that. They are stacked to the brim. I don't know how you don't have them in the 8.
I think that's my biggest L.
That is your biggest L.
Okay.
First is your biggest L, I think, because I don't think there's any way they're finishing first. But go on.
Yeah.
I just saw who you had there. I saw when you put your phone down.
Maybe I just don't want to read it out. I've got Sydney finishing first, which, now to think about it, you're right with that grand final thing. Like,
Yeah.
Teams that come off a grand final smashing, they just don't do that well the next year.
They
But
don't. New coach as well.
Yeah, I think I fucked it. But no, there's still a good team.
Yeah.
Like, midfield's insane. It's just nearly comes down to Chad Warner if he has a good year or not, considering he's going to West Coast.
Are we locking that? You know what? We'll make
I'll
another
lock it in
bid
right
after
now.
this. I think, yeah, there's a strong chance. But first, I do have the Brisbane Lions. I mean, yes, they lost Joe Danaher, and yes, I understand how much of a key pillar he is. But we got to remember in 2018, the Richmond Football Club literally finished first by just peeling defenses with their extremely fast game plan. And they literally just said to Jack, like Jack won the Coleman that year, don't get me wrong, but they said to him, all you have to do is bring the ball to the ground. They said to Townsend, all you have to do is bring the ball to the ground in the 11 games he played. Said to a couple guys, all you have to do is bring the ball to the ground. All Eric Hipwood and Logan Morrison, even Sam Day, who I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Day played some footy as a crash the pack kind of guy, because all Sam Day would have to do is bring the ball to the ground. They've got small forwards everywhere. Callum Archie was a freak in the finals. Cameron's there. You bring Lincoln McCarthy back from the ACL. Their midfield only gets stronger with Ashcroft coming in. Coleman as well, who looked to be one of the best halfbacks in the game nearly at one stage when he was coming through. You bring him back next year, they only get more stacked. Danaher, yes, was so important, but all those players have to do is bring the ball to the ground. There is no reason why it should take a massive step back, that forward line. And I understand Danaher's role was super important, but all you have to do is change the dynamic to the forward line up a little bit. Copy what Richmond did in 2018, which literally finished first.
I know what you're saying, but I think if Hipwood and Morris don't combine for
I don't think that's what
80
needs to happen,
85
though.
goals, and then
Why does Hipwood and Morris have to kick 40 each?
because then they have Coleman. Not Coleman.
Lincoln McCarthy.
Fucking the other one, Charlie Cameron. He'll kick it back. Like he'll
kick his 30 plus.
Yeah, but then who is it on? Like McCarthy.
McCarthy will come in and kick 20 to 30.
I'd say he's good for a goal a game.
Yeah, that's
But
what
then-
you need.
Like there's no one else.
Do you know how many Richmond players kicked a goal a game this year?
Yeah, that's Richmond.
One,
They finished-
Ryan
they
Mansell.
finished
Oh, let me
18th.
cook. Let me cook real quick. Ryan Mansell's the only player who kicked one goal a game, right?
That
The
bloke
thing,
sucks.
the thing with this is Brisbane don't need all these players to kick 4 a game. They just need a bunch of players to kick that goal a game. That's all you need. It completely
I'm not
changes.
backing it. I'm not backing it. None of the midfield is a scoreboard.
Hold this L. Hold this L.
None of the midfield hits a scoreboard apart from Josh Dunkley.
Ashcroft will hit the scoreboard much more next year. Neil did hit the scoreboard this year.
Proven.
He just won a Norm Smith.
Bro, that's one game. That's one game.
But he was good the whole field. He was their best player in the final series.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit the scoreboard that much.
He will next season, though. And what happens now? You bring another
That's like
Ashcroft
saying
in.
that Max King.
You bring another Ashcroft in, Dunkley goes down forward a bit. But why does it have to be just the midfielders?
'Cause-
Archie's going to kick a goal a game. McCarthy's going to kick a goal a game.
Goal a game just
Cameron's
doesn't-
going to kick
just doesn't do it for you.
2 goals a game. Morris and Hipwood will kick 1 to 2 goals a
You
game.
need that forward that kicks it back.
We're already up to 8 goals just from those 5 players. And that's
Nah,
not
I'm not
including the
backing it.
midfielders. They'll at least kick it 3 to 5 between them a game.
I'm not backing it.
And then you've still got another forward or two who'll come in and
No, I'm not having that.
Crazy call. And then there's the days where Hitwood will kick 4 for some reason, whatever poor defender that is.
That'll be against Richmond.
Yeah, probably.
For sure.
And Logan Morris will have a game where he kicks 3, he kicks 4. If they play Sam Day, he can hit the scoreboard. He'll kick a goal or 2.
I'm not
And then their back line is cracked.
Nah.
And they bring in, even though I don't think he'll play that much because I don't know if he's any good anymore, but the dude they traded in from Adelaide last year, who used to be their vice captain, I forgot his name. He's done his ACL like two times in a row.
Dude.
Yeah. All right, you add him into their back line as well as like a fourth option.
Does his ACL again in the first game.
Chill. Touch wood. All right,
Anyway.
so that's our ladder prediction, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know your ladies. Let us know your ladies
He's got
Snapchat
ladies in his mind.
Let us know your ladder prediction down below. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Go subscribe to my gaming and sport IRL/long channels. Links down below. Ty's OnlyFans will be linked down below. And I guess we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.